My name is Bishop Gilbert Colman Jr., and I'm an everyday hero.
What's up, everybody? Brandon Cornelius here for Blackpreneur Magazine, and I'm the correspondent today. And the magazine gave me the distinct privilege to do the feature this month for Everyday Heroes. So I decided to choose my main man, Apostle Gilbert Colman. How you doing, man?
Excellent, Brandon. Thank you so much for allowing me to be a part of this, man. It's an absolute honor, and I'm humbled by it. Really am. Thank you so much.
So to me, you're just Bishop. But to other people, your dad, your grandfather twice over now, just had a grandbaby that was born.
Great-grand.
Great-grand, oh wow.
Yeah.
Great-grandbaby. To others, you're a church leader, an influencer. You wear many hats. So I felt like you were the perfect person to interview for a segment like this because not only have you influenced me a great deal, but countless number of other people have been influenced by you and seek inspiration by you. So I'm definitely glad that I'm able to showcase you in this light to a whole nother group of people.
Thank you so very much, Brandon. That's without a doubt at the core of my heart, to be able to touch people not only here in this nation, but also to be able to touch people around the world. And I've been graced by God to be able to do just that, to travel the length and breadth of this nation, as well as to many nations around the world. And again, by His grace, I've been able to see myself be used to impact the lives of many countless leaders, even internationally.
Right. And one of the things that God has done is placed you right here in this sanctuary. We're live here from Freedom Bible Christian Fellowship here in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, your home. So I felt like this would be a perfect backdrop to be able to interview you. Later on, we'll walk around, showcase the church a little bit, get to know the real bishop, which is what I really want for these people. But first, let's get into some background. Now, I know you, but again, I want the world to know you. So just get into like where you grew up, how you grew up, and ultimately what led you to become a pastor.
Well, I grew up in Philadelphia until I was 19 years old. But during that time, my father and my mother were very avid church goers, so to speak. And it wasn't a consideration as to whether or not I wanted to go. You were going, and we all went to church. There were 7 of us. I've had 2 sisters who received me in death. But bottom line was that we were in church constantly. And I was very active in the church. I was a part of the choir, junior choir in the church, and junior deacon, and all that sort of thing. And people around me would always say, yeah, we truly believe that one day that boy's going to preach. That boy's going to preach. And so they said it about me. And during my teen years in particular, it seemed like I was always kind of thrust into leadership positions. But then the Vietnam War came along, and at that point, I was actually pushed into the military because I had received a letter saying that I would probably have to be drafted, because the draft was still in effect at that time. And they said I would be drafted, and I really thought that, wow, if that be the case, I know more than likely I'm going to end up in Vietnam, and I at least wanted to be master of my own destiny. And so I decided to join the Air Force instead, and as a result, it turned out to be a great blessing for me. I ended up going into the military, spent 4 years. 3 of those years I actually ended up spending in Tokyo, Japan, which was a real blessing. I ended up in a band there in Japan because of the fact that there was no church, so to speak, anymore. And so I got involved in the music industry. I did that for about 13 years, but even in the midst of that, there always seemed to be this hollowness. There was this emptiness. There was a void that was in my life, and ultimately I discovered that the void was not really being close or connected to God the way that I was as a younger child.
Church is really super serious, but I'm sure there's been some lighter moments. Like, what is the first one that comes to mind for you?
Well, I'll tell you what, the first one that comes to mind for me, I would have to go all the way back actually to when we were at 45th and Westminster. And there was a gentleman who belonged to the ministry at that time. His name was Thomas Scott. And he's gone home to be with the Lord now. But Thomas was an alcoholic. And every Sunday, he would always be sitting on the front steps of the church when I pulled up. As soon as I pulled up,
He was sitting there and he would say, Pastor, I'm here. Say, please, man, please don't give up on me. Don't give up on me, man. I'm gonna get it together. Well, long story short, 3 years, every Sunday, this man was sitting on the front steps of the church saying, please don't give up on me. Please don't give up on me. Every time almost religiously, if you will, every Sunday morning, sitting on the steps, until finally one Sunday morning, I pull up to the church, and when I pull up, here's Thomas standing up, 3-piece suit, knotted tie, man. I mean, he was looking good, and he wasn't drunk. And that amazed me. I mean, I stood there marveling. What time? Whoa, what you do, man? So I told you I was gonna get it together. Yeah. He got it together, and sure enough, man, he ended up marrying one of the women in the church.
Okay.
Was doing well. You know, I mean, was really doing well. Both of them doing really good, man, until finally he ended up dying, and he died because of a liver problem, you know. But bottom line, though, man, is that's a funny, serious moment for me. But just if I could have had a picture or some video to show you guys what that was like for him every Sunday morning, sitting there on them steps, but asking me to make sure I never gave up on him.
Right.
And so I guess it points back to some of the other things that I've been saying about the church's responsibility is to be there for people and to be willing to work with them even though they may have shortcomings and flaws in their life, but to let them know that that no one is beyond God's reach.
Exactly.
One of the things that the Lord spoke to me is that we needed to always make sure we had a presence in the community, because at that time there was no other churches that were doing some of the things that we were doing as far as feeding programs. We had a soup kitchen that we used to do for the poor, you know, a couple times a week, and they would come to our church, you know, to be fed, you know, and then also we had a clothing program, and then during like Christmas and Thanksgiving, we give away turkeys, or sometimes we go door to door and give away bread, you know, things of that nature. You know, always making sure that we were touching the community and to let them know that we were there for them, and we weren't just trying to bring people into the church just so we could have money, which is the perspective that some people have.
So how important, you know, you touched on the community aspect. How important is it for a church to reach out to the community that it's a part of and kind of show them a different way to live, or show them that they can have a home in the church?
Well, it's critically important because I watched in time past how there have been some churches that what they would do is just come in there on a Tuesday or Wednesday evening, which was the midweek service or prayer meeting or Bible study, then come in on a Sunday, and then many of those people didn't even live in the community where the church was actually housed. And so I just knew that there was no way that we could continue to come into people's neighborhood and not actively be involved in their lives. And it wasn't even, you know, so much about making sure that they would come to the church, as much as it would be more of us desiring to meet the needs of the people in the community and to serve them and to let them know that the church is here for you, and you don't necessarily have to be a member of this church. We've done things in the past where sometimes the men, so like if it was cold and snowed, the men from our church, after coming here and shoveling the sidewalk for the church, would then start going through the neighborhood and shoveling for like some of the senior citizens and that sort of thing, you know. And then we've also had programs where we invite the community in and formed a community committee, you know, where they would come in and give us advice about what was going on in the community, things that we could do to serve them. During the summer, Tuscan Playground is right down the street from us, and we would go down to Tuscan and we'd have youth programs during the summer, you know, to where we'd serve the young people, you know, by having arts and crafts and forming them into little choirs or doing plays for them, you know, that kind of thing, to let them know again that the church is about more than just a Sunday morning worship service.
Right.
a paddle center, you know, where Police Athletic League, they would come here and they use this. And it was a great place for them to be able to get guys off the streets,
Right.
you know, and to have them come in and play basketball, that sort of thing. And so now our young people utilize this, and this is their domain, so to speak, to where they can come and they can learn the word on their level, but at the same time have a staging place, you know, to where they can interact with one another. But also every third Sunday, we also have all the youth in the sanctuary along with everyone else, because I truly believe that, yes, they should have their own space, but at the same time, they do definitely need to be with the main sector of the congregation, so that it doesn't become a culture shock,
Right.
so to speak, when they do come in as adults.
Right.
You know, and then everything's all different from the way they do things, you know, so it had to be some level of integration that takes place.
So we've been talking a lot about the community. In this specific spot that we're in right now, what do you think is the best thing about the community right here?
Well, the one thing about this community is that this is kind of like a mixed bag, so to speak. And I say that because of the fact that where there is a certain level of unrest, if I can use that terminology, where sometimes there's been shootings in this neighborhood. In fact, one of the young guys that got shot here a couple of years ago happened to be a family member for me, you know. And so there's been others who've been shot, people, families that I knew of as well, you know. And so that was a real heart-touching, heart-wrenching situation, okay? But at the same time, it's also a community where it is somewhat middle class, where the people in this neighborhood, at least they take care of their properties. They try to keep things as clean as possible here in this community. And so as a result of that, man, you know, that's why I said it's kind of a mixed bag, you know. And here we are in the middle of it. But I truly believe at the same time, since we've been here, we've kind of helped raise the standard of people's mindset, of their thinking. Without a doubt, we have made an impact, and that is what is critically important for me. I believe that the church has to be in the neighborhood to make sure that we make a sound impact, that we touch people's lives, but more than anything else, to let them know that not only are we here to try to touch you, but we want to be touched.
You've taken us on your life journey. You showed us your beautiful church. My last question to you would be, what would your message be to somebody who may be lost out there, who need inspiration because they want to be somebody in life? What would you say to that person?
Well, Brandon, what I'd have to say is this. First of all, every individual has realized that they have been sent into this earth with specific gifts, talents, skills, and abilities that no one else on this planet possesses. And so they have to be able to appreciate their own uniqueness, knowing that they do matter, that no matter what everybody else is doing around them, that they should never ever have to feel that they need to compare themselves to anyone, and to just be who it is that God has created them to be in the earth. And to know that in order for us to be able to complete God's divine assignment for every person upon this planet, is that we need their contribution. And so their contribution is significant. They are important. They do matter. I know that right now one of the catchphrases, slogans, for the nation is about Black Lives Matter or All Lives Matter. Yeah, yes, absolutely. All lives do matter. Black, white, red, purple, whoever it is, all lives do matter because of the fact that they carry a spiritual DNA that is necessary for the completion of what it is that God wants to do in the earth realm. So if they have a dream, if there's a vision that they have, something that they see that nobody else sees but them, then without a doubt pursue it, and to pursue it with all their heart. Never give up on it, no matter who may try to speak negatively about it or try to dissuade them about pursuing what it is that they think that they are really believing in and believing God for. Or even right now, if they don't know God yet, but do have a vision, that without a doubt, they can still pursue it. And in the pursuit of that, as they find God and God comes into their life, he then becomes the fulfillment of whatever it is that they desire to do in this life. And so that's what I would say to them, man, please don't ever give up. Don't ever let go. There is something so direly important, imperative that they fulfill while they're in this earth suit, I call it. As long as they're in this earth suit, for them to understand that as long as they are alive, there's always an opportunity for them to be able to fulfill what they've been given to do.